Ipti, you could start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the March 14th AHRB meeting. I think we have about 6 items on the agenda. We're going to start with 20 Lyman Place. Anyone here for 20 Lyman?
People are just starting to get on now, so you might want to give them a minute. Is there anyone here for 20 Lyman Place? Yes, hold on. Suzanne, can you hear us?
Hi, hello everyone.
Hi.
I'm going to share my screen. Just jump in.
Suzanne, can you introduce yourself, please,
Hi.
and walk us through the revisions?
I will. Yes. Hi, my name is Suzanne Levine. I'm with CGA Studio Architects, and I'm project designer for 20 Lyman Place, and I'm representing Petra and Ansgar Brambrink, the owners. If you recall, we were here in January. This is a 780 square foot addition to an existing single family house. As we developed the construction drawings, we have 2 window changes that I wanted to review with you. The first one is on the east elevation. The windows are the same, but we've moved them a few feet down the dormer because of layout changes at the interior. And I can show you the previous version looked like this. So we just moved them over. And secondly, at the master bedroom, the window layout we had was not, they were not available as casement windows, so they didn't meet egress. So we had to change the window design there. So this is what we have now. And this is what we had previously.
Okay, they seem to be fairly minor revisions.
Yeah. We just submitted for the building permit, and the building inspector just wanted to make sure that you were okay with the changes.
Okay, anyone have any questions?
No questions for me. It looks pretty straightforward and pretty minor.
Brandon, Dale?
Straightforward to me. I'm good.
That's good.
Great.
Great, I have no issues. Any neighbors? Are neighbors supposed to be notified for changes like this, John? I don't even know.
Yes, they had to do a mailing, so
Okay, so are there any neighbors here?
nobody's
Well-
on Jim.
Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay, good.
Great, so I'm going to go ahead and approve this. Any seconds?
Second.
Brandon
Pick.
seconds. Everyone approved?
Approve.
Okay, all done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
The next item on the agenda is 3 Crescent Lane.
I'm putting Patty on. Zoom is very slow today. Patty, can you hear us?
I can hear you, and I think you can hear me. And I'm trying to start video, which is kind of pokey today.
It's a little pokey.
Yeah. Very slow. Interesting. Okay. I have my background on, I guess. Maybe I should turn that off. Let's see, virtual back, choose virtual, how about none? Okay. It's what's strange is that I'm in the middle of that. It's not showing me. That will do it. That was the cover on my camera. I think that'll make a difference. Okay. So if I can, I will share screen. Okay, so let's see. Okay, can you see the screen?
Now we can.
Yep.
Okay, good. I think I'll start at the beginning. I've got all the stuff in here, but I don't think you really need to see all of it. So I'll try and go quick, and then I can come back if you have questions about stuff. This is where the construction is at this point. That's the wall that you guys, preferred at our last meeting, that we would put it in stone instead of in a simulated stone. And this is kind of a nice shot because this, I mean, Richard might not appreciate, my client might not appreciate me showing this, but it does kind of demonstrate that there was some method to your concern when you can see that there's 3 stone retaining walls along the street. So that's that part of it. What we're here for tonight is actually just the fact that they would like to do a fence instead of the rail. We had a 5-foot railing before, and they would prefer to have a fence that would be on top of the wall. We at first we were told that all we needed to do is send notices to the adjoining neighbors. I included all the adjoining actual plus the ones all across the street. And the idea was if we didn't get a response from any neighbors within 14 days, we were good to go. But I think John felt that because this had been to the ARB before, it would make sense for us to go back again. So what the client is requesting that they will do is be allowed to put up a fence that is this in that color. That's kind of the gist of what it is. This is the house across the street. And then if you drive around the neighborhood, you see quite a few of these. And I think what's interesting about this is these are all, I only took pictures of the ones that were, fronting on a, let's see, now I gotta get back to where it was. These are fences that are actually up by the street. Ours is actually set back quite a bit further than that. If you just look from the edge of the curb to the actual top of the wall, particularly in the front. So that's what the client would like to do, and just getting what you guys think.
Patty, how tall is that fence going to be?
The client would prefer to have 6, which is technically permissible. The railing we had approved was for 5. Now, what they're doing, again, if I go back to that design, this is a fence that has the portion that, and this is not solid. These are actually, this lets light through. So this is about 4 foot, and this is about 1'6". So it's like this ends up being the one that's like a 6 foot, it's just under 6, or else it would be just under 5.
And that sits on top of the wall. So from the other side of the wall, it's going to be like 7-8 feet.
That's true. But then as soon as we get this resolved, our next step in this process is to put in this landscaping. And we've got, it's a continuous planting all along the outside of that. So it's, we're going to use slightly different materials from the list that we got approved. We're going to use the materials on the list, but we're picking the stuff that's going to let you see the wall more, and it would be more screening on the fence itself.
Patty, what's the deer fence on the sheet?
That's something we're not, that was something that we had on the sheet from the beginning. We didn't take that off. At this point, they're not planning to do that.
Could you go back to the front image of the house, the photograph of the new retaining wall again?
Okay, let's see. So it's right about, it's about almost a foot higher than the bottom of this, where the siding hits the foundation. the intent here is for this to be a playground for their children. This is the only area on their property that can be that. And one of their concerns is that they've got people driving by and they would like it if their kids are playing out there, that they're not, I guess, basically not on display.
And there's a gate associated with this at the driveway?
Yeah, right up at this end, there's a kind of utility gate so that you'd be able to, lawnmowers, things like that would be able to come in and do the maintenance.
John, is there any issue with the height on top of the retaining wall?
I'm not completely familiar with the code, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to add the height of the retaining wall and the fence.
Right. That was one of my reasons for suggesting that we would stay with the 5, because that was what was actually approved by the planning board. 5
Yeah,
foot on top of the fence, on top of the wall.
I don't think the 6 foot would be allowed, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so Patty, there's a 6 foot option, there's a 5 foot option. Your client would prefer the 6 foot. John's saying that maybe that's not allowable by the code, but there is a 5 foot option that's already been approved by the planning board. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Because when you originally brought it to us, it was 5 foot.
Right.
So that's why we didn't say anything about the combined height of the wall, but now tonight you're saying 6 foot, so.
Well, no, we've submitted it that we're willing to do either really at the discretion of the Architectural and Historic Review Board. The client would like 6. I think 5 is adequate. I think 6 will be a foot taller than 5, I will say. So, I think it's, whatever you guys feel about it. If you don't think the 5, 6 makes a difference and you thought it to be 6, I don't know if that's adequate or if we would have to get further approval. I would think that if you approved it for 5, given the fact that we previously got a 5, I mean, the railing was, the difference between it being a railing and a fence is not the height, it's the amount of infill that's within the vertical surface that's blocking the view inside. So they prefer it that their kids are not on display, and I can understand the concern in kind of a strange world we're living in. So maybe that's the best way to do it, is the 5 is the 5.
You would get into an issue with the planning board too, because they approved 5 foot.
Well, we didn't ask for 6 foot. Maybe they would have approved 6, but I think the 5 is the one that makes the easiest sell on all of this.
I think visually a 5 foot would be much better looking given the size of the yard and given the retaining wall, which, on its most prominent point is more than 30 inches. So,
It's just about 30 inches.
yeah, so with the 30 inches and the 5 feet, you're still at 8.5 feet.
And it looks to me that the fence would align with the bottom sill of
Exactly.
the bay window at 5 feet. Because at 6 feet, it would be onto the second coursing of the siding.
It's the difference, basically. The 5 is just about at where the siding hits the, basement. The 6 foot, you're right, would be a little bit more than the one shingle higher, which seems kind of arbitrary. I think if it feels like it carries that band on it, I think it'll look better.
Exactly. So I think that I'm comfortable with the 5 feet. Any questions? Anybody else?
I prefer the 5 foot.
I would agree.
Okay.
Same.
So John, do we have any issues with approving it at the 5 feet?
No, just say in the approval that it's approved for a 5 foot fence. That's all.
So this fence is approved, will be approved for 5 feet.
Neighbors?
Any neighbors?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay, so anybody has seconds? Paul seconds. Oh, everybody approves? 5. So this fence is approved for 5 feet. Hi.
Thank you very much, guys and women.
Thank you.
See you later now. I got to leave this, right?
Yeah, you need to stop sharing, Patty. Next item on the agenda is 398 Ashford Avenue.
I just promoted David. It's just taken. David, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
David,
Hey guys, how are you?
Can you introduce yourself, David?
Sure. David Rothbard. Nice to meet everyone here. Now it's been a long journey to get here, but a couple years back, I bought this ugly building on the corner of the Sawmill and Ashford Avenue, which you may or may not be familiar with, but I'm sure you'll see it soon enough. And it's been quite a journey. I would say that I'm surprised that we're on item number 3 or 4, having been into many planning boards. Usually we get here around 11 o'clock at night. So this is pretty amazing. Yeah, any questions that you guys have for me before we jump right in?
No, but I do look at that building every time I take the exit. So I'm very happy someone's bought it and doing something with it.
You're from the few people who don't actually hit the building. So thank you for that.
And I saw that one picture that you have. Was that real?
There's too many real photos. I should open a gallery. But yes, they get cleaned up fast and not everyone sees them, but there's, as John can attest, and I'm sure, other people, there's been many times that the building's been hit. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. I'm just going to bring you guys a little bit through that journey. And let me know if you can see what I'm seeing.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, has everyone got a chance to look through this? Because I'll make this fast. I didn't realize what you guys were expecting, but I'll definitely just move through quickly. So this is basically how it looked when I bought the building. It was pretty run down and dilapidated. And then, 2 years ago, we were able to get started right away on 5 of the apartments. And we kind of really, I think we did a pretty nice job making them into nice efficiency units. And they've been really full since, exactly 2 years ago today, literally right before COVID, 5 people moved in, literally this week. Like my first tenant moved in on the 15th of March. And we did a lot of cleanup work. There was this forest on the highway side of the building, a lot of just cleaning up, even though people don't really use that, even though it's officially not my property, to be honest. It's officially part of the highway department. It's just, you don't want people living in a jungle. So we did a pretty decent job just cleaning it up and making it, there's some people who sit out there, take their dog or sit there and get some sun. It's a little noisy, but they do. And this is basically what it looks like today for the most part. We definitely repainted and just kind of cleaned it up, and hopefully you guys kind of get to benefit just something that's not an eyesore. So these are some of the photos. We've had an electrical truck that flipped over. We've had multiple cars hit the building. This one on the left damaged that massive front window, and it was pretty dangerous, and it had to be, I was planning on changing the windows anyway, but it definitely escalated things because I couldn't leave it the way it was. So just moving right along. Feel free to stop me and interrupt, by the way, in case you have any questions. I'm just trying to, for the sake of time, but any questions, feel free to interrupt me. So we're looking at here is these 2 windows were as you see over here on the side, they were non-operable windows, and I knew that we were aiming for a conversion. I want them to be opening windows. Obviously, they needed to be much better quality, insulated and things like that, as well as the front windows. My objective was really not to change the look of the building, but just make it more user-friendly for a residential perspective. None of these windows in the front were operable windows either. So we had custom designed windows to kind of make it look pretty similar to what was there, but have them be kind of double hung with picture windows, which is what we did. And so everything really stayed the same, but we had their denser windows for sound. because the highway is pretty noisy. So there's it's definitely, I forgot how much we had to upgrade the thickness for the sound, and they're laminated on one side and tempered on the other side, all to make it increase the sound and energy efficiency as well. John wanted me to put some close-ups of the individual windows. So once over here, you see the colors are really the same to what they were before. And here are the other two windows as well, close up on those windows. The doors that we replaced, these are the doors, the Therma-Tru doors. And this is the model that we went with. They have not been painted yet, so I wanted to discuss some of that with you guys tonight. There are there's two doors that have been painted this blue color, the main entranceway. We did that 2 years ago when we kind of upgraded. This is the main entrance to the building. So if I can give you guys, I'll back up here for a second. Sorry, I know I'm moving a little bit quick. So there's two front doors. This door over here, if you can see my mouse, is a doorway to these 4 apartments. Okay, this door is a doorway to this apartment over here. Those 2 doors, because people were renting those, we renovated and replaced those doors with kind of the first round of renovations. Those are the blue doors. Okay, and then that's the 2 blue doors that you see over here. Those kind of match. These 3 doors are not yet painted, and they're a certain type of door where you can basically, you stain them essentially. They have a wood grain, and you stain them. So these 2 are painted. 3 of these are not yet stained, and I was looking at the natural oak, which I think will kind of match the red brick a little bit, and will just bring a little bit more warmth in general to the style of the building. Is what I'm thinking on that front. Any questions so far?
No, I think it's fine so far.
Okay. The window, like you see, is this kind of the dark bronze. That's the color for the window. And here are the elevation plans that we worked with for the windows. We did not end up putting lights where you see them over here. We just kept the original lights. So on this drawing, you're seeing kind of these wall sconces. We ended up not installing those. There were 3 sconces that were there previously. We changed the actual fixtures, but those were approved as part of the original plan. Here we have the side windows, as you see, the double hungs, and which is a similar look to what I showed you in the final product. Sorry, and here is kind of just the window specs once again for for the windows that we have. And that really brings me to the end. And this is just the manufacturer and kind of some more information about the series over there. So any questions on any of what I've showed you?
David, can you go back to that elevation that shows all the 5 doors?
Sure.
The drawing, that one.
Yep.
So those doors are not like this, right? They are going to be like the kind that you showed us?
Correct. They're not like 4-panel doors. They're 2-panel doors, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, and 3 of them are going to be stained and 2 are the painted ones.
Correct. I mean, I'm not against keeping them. If you guys had a strong feelings around having them all be painted the same color, I'm not against it. It's just the doors kind of lend themselves to a nice wood grain, and I like wood. I like the kind of the feel of them, even though they're not real wood. I like them to. They were originally real wood. They were just painted dark brown and ugly. I like the idea of having. This is. It's hard to really tell. They had a screen on top of them, but they were these old, not these 2. The other 3 doors were actually original solid doors. It's just that they were, obviously the glass was cracked and different reasons why we couldn't kind of like refurbish them. But I like the idea of real wood, and I like that they might look like real wood. This is kind of how they would look. So that's what I like, but
So all of your new windows will have black frames, correct?
They're bronze, yeah.
Bronze. Will you be painting the frames around the doors bronze colored also?
Around the door, I plan on leaving the trims white.
Because that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the image on, I think, slide number 7 of your presentation that shows the 2 new blue doors and the 3 beige doors. And when I look at that, the thing that sticks out to my eye the most is the fact that these white frames pop out. And then you have the other doors that actually set back in, which the elevation doesn't truly show as you read it. Those 3 doors to the adjacent lower level spaces are all recessed.
Correct.
So it just looks really messy right now with, I think, with that big white frame around that blue door. That's my gut feeling when I look at it. Especially since all of the other frames are going to go black on the building or bronze color.
I mean, the rest of the windows are also white, and I don't plan on painting.
Oh, so you're not
those.
changing the windows?
I'm not changing. Well,
Upper windows.
Those upper windows have been, those are new. Those are brand new. Those are new windows as of 2 years ago, and those are been replaced. And I wasn't planning on painting those, so I was trying to keep the framing consistent. If you think the 3 recessed doors would look better with a darker frame, then I'm open to that.
Possibly.
Sorry.
Possibly.
I mean, I'm not against suggestions. I never fancied myself a designer. I may have some sort of taste or personal taste. I designed all the interiors myself. There's not a lot, I mean, I'm open to suggestions, Dale. So, if you think it'll look better if the 3 recessed doors were painted basically a similar color to the door or to the window frames, I don't see an issue with that.
I'm just looking at that image and the one right before it on number 6, which was what was there prior. And the difference of the 2 new doors just popping forward is very noticeable.
Well, I intended that to be noticeable.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted them to pop a little bit. I like the blue. It kind of catches your attention. And they're new doors. So that I like. I think, like I said, with regards to the frames, I don't have a strong feeling around the white frames on the recessed doors. So I'm definitely open. Does anyone else have any suggestions or feelings on the matter?
Yeah, I do. So first of all, I'm very familiar with Therma-Tru doors, and they do take stain. They're meant to be stained too, not just painted. So you should be really okay with staining those doors. However, I'm totally, in favor with what Dale was saying, that the white does pop out. So question number 1 would be, would you be willing to do, I don't know, since you have white frames above, maybe I'll hold that in abeyance for a minute. But I think that both staining the other 3 doors and matching that stain color on the trim would definitely go a long way with sort of softening that elevation or not letting it stand out so much.
So let me just so I'm clear. So you're saying, just so we're clear, you're suggesting the 3 doors, the 3 tan doors, be stained, which I plan on doing.
Correct.
And the frames around those doors be painted a similar color to that stain.
I agree. That's what I
Correct. Agree.
I have no issues with that.
Okay. As far as the white frames on the teal doors, I don't know. Anyone have any suggestions, any questions?
My opinion is that it just looks like a mess kind of right now. All the different colors are not terribly pleasing to look at. One of the issues is that the framing on the windows on the first floor is black. The framing above is white, which is, kind of there's some discordance there. And then you've got the tan colored stucco wall, I guess, above the doors. You've got the white frames. You've got the teal doors. It's just kind of a mess.
Any other positive encouragement coming from the rest of the crew? Because Paul, if you want, I can gladly go back to the original one and we can just look at this for the next 10 years too. So there's limited amount that I'm working with. I appreciate the criticism, but when you're working with a building that's 120 years old, we're going to do the best that we can within
And
reason.
you know what?
So-
I appreciate that you've invested and are attempting to make it better. And I actually feel very confident that you will make it better and that's going to end up better than the way it was. I'm very, very confident. We just have to kind of make it a little bit more uniform. And I think that's what Dale is saying. And I think that's what Dipti is saying. And my feeling would be just paint it all black or bronze colored or everything on that first floor, all the framing, all the wall above the doors, just paint it all a similar color. And I think that would help very, very much. I don't know if that's what Dale or Dipti are suggesting, but I think they're suggesting going in that direction.
I mean, I share Paul's opinion on trying to be as simplistic as possible. And I think that if everything else was bronze, except for the frames and the blue doors, I mean, keeping the frames white around the blue doors and keeping those as being the entry points and standing out is one thing. But it means that everything else needs to be bronze, including the background. It falls into the background. It looks like a unified storefront and you're highlighting the entry points. So I think if the stucco, the doors were stained and the trim around those doors were all a bronze in the bronze family and fell into the background, then you could actually keep the white frames and the blue doors as prominent, set out from the rest of the elevation. And I think that, you know, what looks messy is the fact that you can see, you know, 5 doors within a very confined area. If it was all bronze, the only thing that you would read from the street would be the 2 entry points that I think you're trying to highlight. Right. And then, so you know, from a simplistic sense, I think everything except for the 2 entry doors with white frames and blue doors should be a bronze color to look like a unified storefront system behind those entry points. That would be, I think, the most simplistic way of doing it.
You don't think that would make everything too dark?
No, I think it's in keeping with what the building was previously, but in a much more elegant and newer way. I mean, I think you've already have white trim around a lot of the base of the building, right? You have that at the steps, you have that as a demarcation and almost like a line at the base as the change in elevation of the sidewalk occurs. So when you look at this, I mean, the building is you know, in its nature is much darker at this elevation than it is on the sides and on the other facing Ashford. So, you know, I think it's warranted to kind of be all one uniform storefront because it really reads less like a residential property and more commercial in nature, right? And kind of a retail, almost a retail storefront or ground plane. Which I think is what it's intended to be used for eventually, right? You have entry points to apartments above, but that entire base is really looks to be more retail based. So
yeah, but it's yeah. I mean, we're not going to get into that, but yes, it's we know the change of use to have it be residential was just approved. So
okay, well, nonetheless, I think either way, the way the building reads. If you want to, I think what you're hearing from the board is that simplicity is key in order to move forward. So that would be my suggestion in trying to make it more simplistic.
I appreciate Brandon. I appreciate your kinder terminology. Thank you.
I think, David, the biggest issue is that in the existing, that stucco was not this color, and probably that's why it stands out more now. So taking into account what all of them, Brandon, Dale, and Paul have said, would you be willing to consider doing something with that stucco color? So at least tone it down so it doesn't pop so much with everything else that's going on?
Yeah, let me noodle on that. I don't have any major objection. You know, I was trying to not have the building be too dark, but let me think about it because I mean, it's already a bit of a dark building, and I tried to actually brighten it up a little bit, not like brighten it up, but like just to have it be a little bit more, a little bit brighter. And I don't want it to just be like the whole ground floor to look black. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do like, I like the dark frames, but I don't want it to be entirely black. Having said that, let me see what kind of if I can darken that area down and have it kind of just, not be as poppy. And, but I understand the points that were made.
I mean,
Yeah, you
another
can put
alternative
some
could be,
samples. You can put some samples up and take a look and see, if you're comfortable with any of it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's probably, yeah, I don't think a thin brick here, a veneer would work depending on the dimensions, but I mean, you want that consistency and that simplicity. It's, I think, what everybody's pushing for.
And David, I think that taking into account everything that was said tonight for this, it will certainly look a lot more elegant if you can think about that and, perhaps come back the next time with more options on that.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
All right. Thank you so much. To be
Thank
continued.
you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. But
Everybody want to vote to continue it?
any seconds to continue?
Second.
Approved. Next item on the agenda is 25 minutes.
Jean, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes.
Now we can. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Gene Lopez. I am the owner of 25 Maple Street. My wife and I, we purchased the property last August, and we've been doing some extensive renovations, working with the building department, getting some things approved. And now we're here today. Hopefully move forward with the exterior facade changes that we would like to accomplish.
Okay. Would you like to share your screen with us and go through the changes?
Yes, of course. So I think I should start off how the property looks now. It looks like now. So currently the siding is an aluminum siding with no insulation whatsoever. So my wife and I have been shopping around and we found a company, and pretty much they've proposed to us, it's like a cladding, and I'll share the renderings they've provided for us. So on the side, as you can see here, it's about a 7-inch cladding. It's a composite cladding, and it has some insulation.
Gene,
Jane,
You're not-
can't see your
not
screen.
sharing
Sorry.
the screen.
I'm sorry.
You're not
You're
sharing
sharing
the screen.
My apologies. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I'm using my wife's laptop. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Give me one moment, please. Hold on. All right. It's prompting me to leave the meeting. I'll join right away, okay?
I can share the screen if you want.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
If I can find it. Nope.
Is it the 1024 by 1024 set?
Okay, you can see this.
Yes, I can.
Here we go. Is this the one you want?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So, so essentially the design, we try to pretty much complement the home, but still stay within, well, how the neighborhood looks like. I do have some images, but unfortunately I can't share them right now of other properties that look similar. But we wanted to keep the same tone color. It's a glacial white color, and we just wanted to keep it the same, but just update the materials essentially. So the second level here, it's a vertical vinyl paneling. We do want to remove the shutters. Unfortunately, the 3D rendering program that the siding company has couldn't do that. And then for the porch roof, we wanted to do a black metal roof. Currently, right now, I believe it's like a red shingle. And the post for the porch, we're still playing around with color schemes, but we're thinking probably settling with white, just to not bring so much attention. And then on the side, on the bottom first floor, we want to do a brick veneer from a company called Brickit. It's a thin veneer, painted white, matching color code with throughout the whole property. If you look up on the sides, you can see the cladding that we want to go with. I believe now the cladding that we have, it's aluminum, it's about 10 inches. This is 7 inches. And the difference is composite material. And it has foam backing insulation also. So the property doesn't have any kind of insulation inside or out. So we wanted to do that to make the home more energy efficient. And I have other drawings of the windows. These are not it.
Okay. I'm not sure which ones. Can you see this?
Yes, I can. I believe it's probably the 10, sorry. Click on that. No, I'm sorry.
Exterior
Click on-
photos?
Try that one.
This one?
Yes. Okay, so these are the spec sheets of the siding. So this is the one that's going to go on the 3 sides, left, right, and back and rear. This is the Ascend company, and we're going with the glacial white, so you can see. And then if you can scroll down, please, the second page, just so that you have a better like visual. And this is the vertical vinyl paneling that would go on the second floor, on the front facade of the building. And it will also be a matching color. And then if we go down to the 4th page, these are the different bricks that the company provides. I believe they're different sizes, but it all depends on what we agree to move forward with. And the windows, if you can scroll down a little bit further down, I think it's the last set. Okay, those 3 last PDFs, yeah. So this is the company. It's a casement window. We want to go with a colonial grid, just to, it's different from what we have now. Right now we have double hung windows, but they're black colonial grids. I believe the framing will be black as well. And the last picture also shows you more or less the style. And this is just all throughout the property. And then last minute, I asked if it was okay if I can show you the doors that we were hoping to demonstrate. I think they're the last links.
Okay, so go back again.
Yes, please.
This one?
Yeah,
this
so
one.
for the patio door, the French door, so it's just colonial grid, black, framing will be black. And that's for the rear patio. And then for the front, it should be the last photo. So it's a little bit more modern, but I think the black tones in with the rest of the property with the color scheme that we're going with. Does anyone have any questions?
You have existing double hung windows right now, right?
Yes.
And there are no grids in there. There are no muntins.
No, they're not. No.
The only question I have, Jean, is that the colonial style muntins don't necessarily go with the style on the door.
Okay.
If you want to think about that.
I mean, we can change it. I have other options. We can go with something more classic as well.
Or change the grids, maybe not go with such, with the colonial grid, maybe just go with like a 2/2 so that it's not so traditional. It doesn't compete with the door. That would be my question. Anybody else has questions?
I noticed the exact same thing, Dipti. Also, on the 3D rendering, there was a window with a divided light window with the muntins on the rear of the house that just didn't really match the rest of the windows.
This one or the other one, maybe the other one.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was the other one. So I think you just need a more unified, like design for the windows, whether it's a double hung or and I actually agree with Dipti that considering the modern appearance of the door, maybe a double hung window would be here. Yeah, exactly. You
This
see
one, right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the patio door.
Oh, that's a patio door.
Yeah, that's the patio door. So all
But
the
then
windows
the
would be,
grills, then the muntins would also, be something that you might want to consider adjusting on this.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you want to also consider adjusting the muntin style on this door. Maybe
We can.
reduce.
We don't have to put grids on that. We don't have to. We're more than happy to go with just regular
Nothing.
glass. We can do
Now,
that.
these look like double hung windows, Jean. Are they going to be double hung or are they going to be casements?
No, this is just because of the rendering. Unfortunately,
Right.
they couldn't
So
demonstrate the windows.
your
Um,
drawings, your specs show just casement window. Are you doing casement windows?
Yes, casement windows. Yes.
So they'll just be single sheets of glass in every window and operable.
No, they're double pane.
So there's
they
a
have
top and a bottom.
I'm sorry, sir.
So there's a top and a bottom pane.
No. It's just,
So there's no horizontal. It's a single sheet of glass that makes up a window, correct?
yes.
Okay. So if all of the windows are just big pieces of glass, why wouldn't you do all the doors the same way?
Piece of glass for the rear.
For the rear, for the patio doors and any other replacement door, just to simplify. Again,
Yeah,
keep
we
it
can
a
do
simple
that.
thing.
Yeah, the company I'm working with, they have the option for us to opt out of the just single glass for the rear window as well. I mean the rear patio door. And then again, we don't have to settle with that front door. I just thought it would just let more light in. It looks nice, but I'd rather not do full glass, honestly, for the front door, just for security reasons, privacy. But I'm open to suggestions for the front door.
I think I'm okay with the front door the way you have it. The only question that I had, and I think that's what the board feels also, is the colonial muntins in the windows and the colonial muntins in the back door sort of compete with that look. If you have that style that you like, you might want to stay consistent on all sides. And that's probably the only issue that we all seem to be agreeing with.
Right.
So if you're, because these double hung windows are actually casements, they are not double hung windows, and you were thinking of doing colonial grills in these, right?
Those are the current windows that they're double hung.
Are they going to change or are they going to remain as they are?
They're going to change. We
They're
want
going
to
to change, and
do
they're going to change to casement windows.
casement windows.
And
Yes.
you were considering putting the colonial grills in the casement windows. Am I right or no?
Yes.
Right. So now I guess what we're suggesting is rather than using the colonial grills, don't put any grills in the door, and you stick with the way the style you have of the front door. I don't know. Anybody else has any questions on that?
Can we do the inverted? We change the front door and keep the windows.
You can, certainly.
Okay, so if that is an option, I'd rather stay with the colonial casement windows and just find a more suitable front door. if possible.
Anybody has any questions on that?
So Guy, I'm having a little bit of trouble following the full scope of. So I mean, I've just to give my opinion on the windows, I think whatever windows and doors, they should be, whether it's the casements or, with the colonial style, they should all be consistent, right? To at least, and I think in keeping with the original, what they are originally is probably best given the way that they currently look. So I mean, I understand that you're looking to make a change, but I think, given this house, I mean, I think in the houses that are in close proximity to it, I think keeping the window style and consistent with existing, but upgrading them to be more energy efficient, it may benefit. I know that the siding is being replaced, right? You have a different vertical, their vertical siding is oriented differently on the front elevation of the house. There's a thin brick at the front elevation, and then you have horizontal siding around all other sides of it. Are you intending to do anything or any upgrades to the porch and the actual framing and anything else at the actual porch itself?
Sorry, so the roof for the porch, we want to put aluminum.
Just the roof.
The roof, and then the posts, we want to paint them white, essentially.
Okay, because there's some nice detail on the existing. If you look at the,
This one, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
there's a lot of really nice detail around that.
Are you going to
Mhm.
keep these?
Yes, we would like to keep them, it's part of the house. We just thought just updating certain things just to complement it, really, but it's all a matter of personal taste.
And what drove you to want to do a metal roof here?
It's just a combination of classic with modern, a little bit of more modern aesthetic. It's all.
I just thought it would be the only house in the vicinity that would.
If you drive around, there's a few existing properties right now that have a similar style. They have asphalt for the top roof, and then for their porches, they have metal.
I'm looking at your side. I just don't. I mean, I could
on our
spin around
street,
or.
I don't think on our street there's anything, but a block away there's a home on DeVoe Street, and then on Ashford too there's another property that has a
Right.
similar color scheme and aesthetics.
Okay, I'm just looking at this in proximity to your
Mhm.
general neighborhood, right? In keeping with the, I understand there are definitely homes in Dobbs Ferry, and if they're on another block, I'm just looking at it in the context of your closest neighbors.
Right.
So I'm just.
That's fine. I understand. No, and it's just we want to set the home up for future projects that we would like to do. So I mean, we're not doing it now, but in front we want to remove the chain link fence and put some black aluminum fencing there, and just the color schemes, they just tied in very well. But yeah.
Okay.
So Jean, it would be very helpful if you can come back to us with the correct windows, the correct window styles, with the correct colors and the correct style for the Muntins, so that we can see the whole thing in its entirety.
Right. I have it though. I'm not sure if it's in one of those links.
Do you want me to stop sharing, or you want me to go
The
back
thing
and
is,
see if
when
I
I tried to share, let's see, can you go to, okay, I think this one demonstrates, yes, that one will demonstrate more, the better, the windows. So as you can see, the framing around the windows will be black with the colonial grids.
I can't see the.
Yeah, I think the qualities are printouts.
And I think there's a dimensional or scale issue with the roof, the uppermost roof, depending on. I mean, it looks like it has much more pitch in these images than what it does in real, with a more extended chimney, at least from what I can tell in the existing photos. So.
Yeah, I think this has become elongated.
there's no architectural plans. These are just 3D renderings from the siding company. Is that my-
Yes, they use an application called Hoover, and
Right.
it does satellite imaging. So I have other drawings too that are up to dimension as well.
I mean,
I think that would be helpful if we can get that.
Actually, that's it right there. That's from satellite.
Anyone have any questions?
So here it looks like casement windows.
Right.
In the rendering here, they look like casement windows. Which I think goes along with the more modern aesthetic of the front door that you had chosen. But the back door, I think, should also be a similar single sheet of glass without the divided light.
I agree to that. Actually, my wife prefers it too, so what she says.
Well, you also mentioned there will be no shutters on the second floor in the front of the house. Is that true?
Yes, no shutters, yes.
So these shutters won't be there, right?
They won't be there now.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I'm having a little trouble myself following all the bits and pieces,
Me too.
given the way that this is organized. So, and even in trying to review it ahead of time, it's just, I think it's hard to follow exactly what we're being asked to approve here. I think maybe annotating an elevation or these 3D images that,
Marking it up.
marking them up and handwriting exactly the scope that's going to be done would be helpful in coming back. That way it's absolutely clear. That way there's no, this shows a front porch that, while I understand that your intention is to maintain existing and repaint it, this shows something that's not, detailed to the existing conditions. So it's just, I think that a resubmission to clearly annotate drawings would be very helpful, I think, for the entire board.
Okay.
So if you can call out that these are going to be all casement windows with no muntins, you're going to use that particular French door, the rear door will have no muntins, and that this is going to be a metal roof, I think it would be more easier. And then if you can show it without the shutters, so show us what you think that you're going to do. So that's the final plan that the building department will have. I think it'll be easier for them to review it too when they come out to review the job. If that's
Okay.
okay with you. All right.
Yes.
Can I say one other thing? The posts on the porch, does anybody else have an issue with kind of this new, sleek, modern look that he's trying to upgrade to, and the more decorative posts that exists there? Is there a little, is there?
You're talking about this, right?
Well, what I heard is that the existing porch posts and capitals will remain.
They'll remain. Okay.
That's what I heard. And that's why if it were marked on the drawing, even if it's not drawn, just to identify your intent would be very helpful.
Yeah.
And I would reconsider the roofing material, just given your neighbors and the balance of all of the rest of your neighbors having asphalt, and it just to be in keeping. But that's just my opinion.
I agree with Brandon. If you're going to keep those decorative posts, I think an asphalt roof would look better for the porch.
Yeah, asphalt roof. Okay. If we did something different to the posts, would the metal roof work? Or
I don't think anybody wants to. I personally would like to maintain the existing posts and capitals in their current form because I think they're very nice.
okay.
I would just reconsider the roofing material, and I think if it's a little bit clear on what's there, I just am looking across the street and in elevation, and I don't see a lot of metal roof, and I think the different color of the roof here actually, I don't mind. I actually like the contrast a little bit, that it's not all, because when you go to your color scheme, it's dark and white and there's no other colors. It's just one and trust me, I'm the least picky when it comes down to colors, but I do like the variation in material use when it comes down to the specific house. I think it looks, it's got it's nice in its current form, the way that it breaks it up a little bit, especially with both of your neighbors having brick with a combination of siding and some other types of roofing materials. I just think, I think it works nicely, actually. So,
Gene, what color? You did a new roof already on the main house, right?
Yes.
What,
I
what
apologize.
color is that?
It's a graphite.
Okay, so it's not this color, but you
No,
have not redone the lower porch yet.
no, which is why we wanted to go with the aluminum.
Oh,
We
then
saw other homes that have it. So
Yeah, so, to come back again to what both Paul and Brandon are saying,
Mhm.
is that the inherent character of your house is
Mhm.
this charming cottage. And if you are keeping these posts with the details, which is charming, the metal roof is sort of, doesn't belong to it. If you want to reconsider that, and if that's the case, then perhaps you should keep the muntins in the windows, the kind that you want, and maybe reconsider the door. And all you need to do is just come back stating that these are casements with the muntins, and then pick another door style that goes with it. But whichever way you go, you might want to just think about being consistent.
Mhm. Okay. And just one question: if we remove the detailing from the post, would the board be more acceptable to a metal roof?
Possibly.
All right, I'll do this. I'll work with the siding company to come with more details of drawings.
Okay.
And for the next meeting, we'll be more prepared with the
Okay.
information meeting.
Okay, whichever way you go, if you can be more consistent in styles, I think that's what we would be looking for.
Okay.
Either it's one or the other and not just a mishmash or a mix, mix and
Understood.
match. Okay.
Understood.
Thank you, Jean. To be continued. Anybody
Thank
second?
you.
Bye.
Seconded by Paul. Thank you. To be continued. Good luck.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is 221 Judson.
Steve, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay,
Now we
good.
can. Hi, Steve. Can you introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. How are you? So I have the final two projects before you, and I was hoping I could share my screen with you if you allow me. Hopefully you see a little bit of London skyline.
We do.
Okay. So the first project before you is, they're both actually on Judson Street, just out of coincidence. As you head toward the end of Judson Street, it's on the left side. It's a little bit in a valley.
Steve, we still see the London Tower. Oh, there you go. Now we can see it.
Can you see
Yes.
site plan a little bit?
Yes.
There's a little bit of, whoop. Is it helpful to see photographs first, or should I orient you through the, I don't know who's visited the site and who hasn't. But basically the project entails enclosing a rear porch and doing some much needed cosmetic work to the front of the house. So it's a modest house. This basically the current front west elevation. Over the years, this section has gone into pretty substantial disrepair. And the repairs that were done, I think, by the previous homeowner amounted to removing select pieces of clapboard siding and basically smearing and buttering up the remaining pieces with a mix of Bondo and exterior goop. So it's not in good shape. Some of it's leaking, some of the flashing is shot. And then over the period of the pandemic, the homeowners realized the value in enclosing this rear open porch. So that's the two main objectives that we have here, before you. So this is approximately 180 square foot rear open porch right now that we'd like to enclose. And then the other repairs on the front of the house, which is basically replacing the siding and some miscellaneous pointing and other repairs. So again, this is the front of the house, basically replacing the siding at this front area that fell into disrepair. The rear, basically enclosing what is an open porch now on 3 sides. We have a couple of images. This is the after, the bay, and then trying to pick up on some of the existing windows with a little bit of a transom light, taking a look at the back. And then the back of the house, again, with the benefit of a little Photoshop, 4 casement windows and a couple of transoms above. New, oh, I think the muntins are missing here, but this would have muntins to match the others. 2 sliders to the back patio. And that's really about it. It's not terribly large in scope, but I think, when you have a house that's, under 2,000 square feet, every square foot counts more. So that's what we're hoping to.
I think it's a nice improvement, Stephen. Are you going to be heating and cooling the room too?
Yes, we'll have a mini split dedicated to the room, and it should be fairly, there'll be an opportunity to, obviously get better insulation in there. Have thermal windows and, related improvements that bring it kind of up to date, LED lights and so forth.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, I've always loved this little house, and I appreciate the fact that it's going to remain a lovely house, and it's you're just going to make it better from the front and from all appearances in the back as well, particularly for the owners. So I think this is a great renovation.
Brandon, Dale?
I think it's nicely done. And very complimentary. And it'll be a great enhancement.
Yeah, I would agree with my fellow board members. I think it's well done.
for the encouragement.
Dale?
I went already.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Are there any neighbors?
No one's here with their hand raised.
Okay. And I suggest we approve the project. Any seconds?
Second.
Dale seconds. Approved. Thank you, Stephen. I think you're next again, right? Next project is 50 Judson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I unshared your screen because I wanted to see the vote. So you have to share again.
And I think Paul voted.
I voted
Wow,
in
he-
favor. My son fell down the stairs. He's
Oh,
okay.
no. Is he okay?
It's fine. I had to run. But yes, I'm in favor of the last proposal.
Okay. I'll ask if I could share my screen again. And also on Judson Avenue, but on the other side of the street is another project. And I did work for their sister a few years ago, also on Judson. So I'm gonna ask your momentary indulgence. Put this up here. So we were before the zoning board last month, received approval for this. There's a couple of additions. And basically what's creating the need for the additions is an aging parent, as well as two kids that are going through middle school and just getting larger. So the idea, of course, is to kind of work with what we have here. If you allow me to just open up these. So it's a fairly low slung, one story, 1960s split level. You know, for orientation, the right side is north. You can see it's very heavily vegetated. You know, basically on three sides. And what we're trying to do is create the space where they need it, which is primarily in the back. So we're really not changing any roof line at the front. We're trying to soften it up a little bit, adding a little bit of detail with some dentals and a little bit of a trellis. And right now it's a mix. There's brick and a synthetic siding here, and then brick around the side. And what we would do to try to unify this is stay with the brick, overlay the existing stone with a thin brick, and then continue the thin brick and paint it all white to try to unify it. And also just to give it a little bit more modern vibe. You know, we'd have a nice rear deck, some sort of simple cable railings. And really what you can see here is pretty easy to figure out where existing meets new. Basically, the growing children are kicking the parents out of their master. So we're moving the master in the back. The parents coming to live with them, we're giving them their wing, which includes basically a basically a little bedroom, little bathroom, small kind of private study. And the kids get the front, which used to be the parents. The parents then just get the back. There's no pool as part of this. That was a budget limitation that was taken out. So what I wanted to just walk you through a little bit was some of the material choices and the colors, as well as oops, sorry, wrong project. So this is just what I was showing you before in 3D. The idea really is that the front doesn't change very much. The main additions are in the back, a little bit of drainage, some deck work. Part of the project is also widening a driveway a little bit. So the morning shuffle to get to work doesn't involve moving cars and jockeying and throwing keys over the lawn and dropping coffee and all that kind of stuff. So the idea is to give them a maneuvering space, because the actual garage door is what they call a 1.5 garage. So it doesn't really accomplish parking for two. So this is okay. So these are the existing conditions. You can see this kind of cultured stone that's there now, the brick, the 1.5 garage, and this kind of 1960s, hip roof versus gable roof. And, what we're trying to do is trying to knit it together a little bit better. This is some of the cultured stone that we're going to move over. View of the back of the house. Just basically a large concrete foundation. Back of the house again with this kind of brick versus the cultured stone.
So the cultured stone is being removed and replaced with brick in its entirety?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea was to try to simplify it and unify it so it looked a little bit more coherent.
And then you have a decorative element on the front elevation above the garage as well?
Yeah, that was the thinking, just to soften it up a little bit, add a little bit of visual interest. Excuse me. Excuse me.
I think that this is a very nice project too, and putting on the thin brick and painting it all white probably will definitely make a huge improvement to what's existing. The existing seems like it's a real mishmash of many different materials. The only question I have, Stephen, is can you go back to your first floor drawing, first floor plan? Just the layout of the first floor? to the rear where the in-laws, yeah. Is there any reason why you couldn't put the bedroom towards the rear of the house rather than putting the bathroom on the rear? Because it seems like they have a nice rear yard. It's just a layout question, you know. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
Oh, no, it's a good question. And I think that was back in Scheme J. So
Aha.
Yes, it was considered. And I think, you know, we had the bedroom here as well as bathroom here. They felt that, you know, the light actually and the view from the bathroom trumped that. So.
Okay. Like I said, that it was more a layout question than anything else. No,
Yeah, here mom and dad prevailed.
Over the backyard. Okay. No, I think it's a nice project. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
No, it looks good.
Dale,
No questions. It looks very nice.
are there any neighbors?
Sorry, my computer froze. No, but nobody has their hand raised.
Okay, then I propose we approve this project as submitted. Any seconds?
Pending planning board
Oh, right. What did you go to zoning board for, Stephen?
planning.
First, we
Oh,
went
planning
to
or zoning?
We went to zoning for side yard, individual and combined variance. And we're still in the planning board. We went to the preliminary planning board. The comments from the consulting engineer, I think, were fairly minor. So they allowed us to come to architectural review, but we still have to go back for final.
Just for the public hearing.
So we should still go ahead and vote, John?
Yes, you can vote and just note that it's pending planning
Pending
board approval.
Planning board approval. Okay, so any seconds?
I'll second.
Second. Paul got it.
All seconds, all approve. So this is approved pending planning board approval. Thank you, Stephen.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you
night.
for your attention.
Thank you.
Have a
Night.
good night.
Good night.
Everybody,
So John, is Yair back for the next meeting?
not sure yet.
Okay.
Are you,
I thought
Are we,
we got to vote to close the meeting, I think.
What about, was there Draper Lane?
I didn't see anything. Was there anything there? Is there any other?
no,
It was on the list. So, oh, I'm sorry. I skipped down one. Sorry, my mistake.
That's on the next meeting,
Mhm.
whatever next meeting is, planning board. Okay, so I suggest we close the meeting for tonight. Any seconds?